New background, same intro. Hi, welcome back to Sean Mac. Today we're going to be talking about Black Clover. Finally, it feels like all I've been talking about recently is Black Clover on like the Discords and my YouTube comments. It's been all over the place, so we're finally getting around to doing a review. And yes, it's a new background just because I've moved my desk. I will be getting a new bookshelf in a couple of months, whenever it's back in stock on IKEA, so then I'll have an even newer background where it's going to be like more that way. Then it's just going to be a giant bookshelf behind me. But enough of that, let's talk about Black Clover. So what is Black Clover? What's it all about? Well, it's set in a medieval fantasy world where magic is sort of the deciding factor on your social status. Now obviously, like in any fantasy medieval kingdom, you've got peasants and you've got royals. Now royals in Black Clover immediately have more of a natural affinity to magic and are able to use it with much greater ease than someone like a peasant would. Now, the peasants, for example, if they want to be as good as a royal, have to try insanely hard, so much so that a lot of them just realise that they're not cut out for it and just live peasant lives. Now, Asta, he's a peasant, except he's a little different. He doesn't have any magic whatsoever, none. He can't even use it if he tries. He's tried for many years. He lives in an orphanage with a load of other kids and his rival, Yuno, being an outlier in the peasants and is able to use magic really well. He has like that natural affinity that you'd generally find with a royal. Asta, however, still wants to catch up to Yuno and be a magic user like that. But except he's trained his body. Because he can't use magic, he's trained his body and become insanely muscular and thought maybe that will help him in some way find his magic. Now, spoiler alert, it doesn't. He still can't use magic whatsoever. Now in the Black Clover universe, when a kid, I think it's when they reach about 15 or 16, they get like a selection, go to like a test effectively. They all end up in like a big hall and they have grimoires, which is basically how they use magic, like these floating books that have a load of spells that they can use in and they can grow over time. Now on this selection test, Yuno, Asta's rival, gets a pretty rare grimoire that shocks a lot of people. Asta, however, he doesn't get one. His, however, comes later on when Yuno is ambushed by a shady character who wants to take the special grimoire that he's received and sell it. Now Asta charges this guy when he sees him and gets knocked back over and over and over again. And in typical shonen fashion, which I'm not saying is a bad thing because I kind of like this trope, but he doesn't give up. He's one of those sort of characters that will never give up no matter the odds put in front of him. And thanks to that attribute, he gets his own special grimoire. Now this grimoire lets him use the power of anti-magic. And then thus forward the story carries on with Asta and Yuno learning new magic and Asta more anti-magic stuff. And just meeting a load of cool people and going on, shonen fashion. The one I can compare this probably the most to is Naruto. It's got a very similar sort of progression system, and definitely to the fact that you've got, in Black Clover, you've got the Wizard King, who sort of governs the Clover Kingdom, whereas in Naruto you've got the Kages. It's very similar to that, very similar sort of progress where Asta wants to become the Wizard King. Naruto wants to be the Hokage, Luffy wants to be the Pirate King, all that kind of thing. They've all got that goal they want to aspire to, and I really, really like this about Black Clover. Now that's enough about what it's about. What do I like about it? Well, I think it's a really great shonen series. It's quite fast paced, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of really cool fighting going on, there's a lot of really cool characters, character design. That's one of the things that's on point in this manga. It's got really good world building. I love the magic progression because, like I said, not to spoil it too much, but once you've gone through more hard work and whatnot, your grimoire will adapt with you like you would as a person. You're learning new things constantly, so that means that you're learning new spells to use. And I really like that, how it's, how much work you put in is reflected in your sort of magic ability. Other than that though, it's just got a lot of things going for it. It seems like it's one that's kind of underrated, and maybe because it is a bit more on the generic side, but I don't mind that. It's got a fair few, like I said, like tropes of I want to be this person, I want to be the Wizard King, you know, that kind of stuff. I will never, you know, I will never give up sort of trope as well. But I really like it. I also like, this is the other trope of Asta being dumb as bricks. But I love all that, and maybe that's why it's sort of underrated or sometimes gets a negative rap, because it is a bit more on the generic side, but I don't mind it at all. I'm absolutely glued to this series. I'm currently on volume 17, so I'm working my way through to, you know, catching up with the series. But I think it's great. I mean, if you're a fan of fantasy, magic, I don't know, whether you're like a fan of spells and wizards or just medieval fantasy, I think it's great and it portrays it really well, that sort of time period. So if you're looking for something that's medieval fantasy, it's got magic in it, it's got cool characters and a fun little group of outcasts, which are effectively, they are called the Black Bulls, and they're the group that Asta's part of, which they, you know, there's like a load of Magic Knight groups. Asta's part of the Black Bulls, which are like the losers and the outcasts, and seeing them all grow as people as well is really fun. I love seeing those sort of like outcast delinquent-y types getting the limelight and growing as people. So I really enjoy it. I think it's a great series. I'm loving it so far. I can't wait to see how it progresses. So I give it a thumbs up. I give it a recommend. Anyway, that's enough out of me. Thank you very much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got a few other series that I've been reading, so I'm going to talk about them in the coming weeks. I'm going away as of next week, so I won't be any videos for that week, but I might have something lined up to put out whilst I'm not here, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you very much. If you're stuck to the end and you're still hearing me speak, then thank you, you're a real one, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.